Turning overseas, we've been following the case of South Korean pastor Hyun-bo Son. His imprisonment has raised concerns about religious freedom in South Korea. The case recently gained more attention when his son Chance spoke in Arizona at Turning Point USA's AMFEST. Asia correspondent Lucille Talusan spoke with him following that appearance,
where he spoke about his father's case. Pastor Hyun-bo Son remains jailed in South Korea on election law charges and has drawn attention from the Korean administration for his stance on biblical truths.
So firstly, I would like to thank CBN News for covering my father's news when it was mostly needed. And that's when I believe a lot of Christians in the States especially starting to pick up my father's story. I think this is a great opportunity for Americans themselves to be able to realize what's at stake and what we are to do as brothers and sisters in Christ.
As a show of support, the organization Advocates for Faith and Freedom has launched a petition for a fair legal process in Pastor Son's case. Support from Americans is also growing. That includes the late Charlie Kirk, who met Pastor Son in Seoul at a conference.
My father was able to share what's happening in Korea recently, especially to the Christian leaders, including himself, and also the possibility that my father would could get arrested. And in fact, my father got arrested 2 days after he met Charlie. Charlie made sure that he will use his platform and his voice to let the whole world and America know that this is happening in South Korea. And this was important for him because it was an example what would happen if we don't speak for biblical truth. 2 days after my father got arrested, Charlie got assassinated.
Although Charlie is gone, his vow to support Pastor Son was still fulfilled.
Chance, how would you like for us Christians around the world to pray for your father's case and also for your family?
Yeah, first, for my father's case, for the fairness in the legal process, for my family and myself, knowing that God has already won the battle, for the faithfulness to keep fighting the fight with strength.
A final verdict in Pastor Son's case is set for January 30. Son says his father could be released, but warns the government could detain him again as he faces 16 ongoing lawsuits and potential additional charges. Lucille Talusan, CBN News.
Gordon, you'd expect this in China, but not in South Korea.
Well, it's an incredible case. Here's what this pastor did. He invited a candidate for a school board seat to come and be interviewed in his church sanctuary. It wasn't part of a normal service. It was a special one where he invited his congregation to hear from one of the candidates, and he used the church building for that interview. That got him put in jail with no bail. It's absolutely incredible to me that you can call yourself a free society, a democracy, and do this kind of thing. There was specific laws passed trying to reduce Christian speech in politics. And unless, please think that this thing from Korea is limited. Don't think it's limited to Korea. This really can spread around the world because he was standing up for biblical values being taught in the school systems in Korea. That's why he was interviewing the candidate. Now, can you imagine this happening in the United States? I hope you can, because this is absolutely horrific to me, that you can be held without bail on a charge of some kind of election interference. And if that doesn't work and you don't get convicted of that, well, then we're going to invent 16 other charges that you have to face. The amount of money spent on trying to defend this is absolutely incredible. So we need to put pressure on the Korean government to say, no, if you want to call yourselves part of the free world, well, this is not freedom. This is repressing political speech. It's also repressing religion and the free exercise of religion. And that is not allowed. It's not allowed under the UN Charter, and it certainly isn't allowed under any kind of form of democracy that credits the United States for its inspiration, which they absolutely do. So let's put the forces to bear that we can while we can. And you can sign a petition urging the United States to take action on behalf of Pastor Son and on a larger basis on religious liberty in South Korea. You can find this petition on cbnnews.com. Make your voice heard, and don't just stop with the petition. Make sure your senator, make sure your member of Congress knows how you feel about this too. This is a very important case. It has to do with religious liberty, not just in South Korea, but around the world. These kinds of tactics can be adopted and used in any nation. So we need to be forceful now. No, you don't get to repress Christian speech in a church.